you'd want a stubby screwdriver like this one, preferably Phillips, but I don't have one. So I'm going to have to use an 8mm socket, and you want to take the battery out and the bolt just here. Okay, as you can see, I've taken the battery out and this nut here. Now inside, it's kind of hard to see, but right there's another like bolt that you need to take out with a socket, and I believe it's a 10mm. Okay, now that I've got that bolt out, this assembly here, as you can see here, this is actually just hinged on just by friction, so that should be able to pop out. Might not be able to one hand here, but that will pop out. And yeah, the whole assembly there is free. And for the battery box, it should just pull out because it's got also another plugs that just fitted in there. Don't be scared to pull on it because it will just pop out. There we go. So that's the battery box. And now looking in there, you can see the power valve right there. And so you want 2 Allen keys for each side, and once you pull them out, the power valve should slide right out. I'll be back when that's done. Okay, I've got the bolts out now from the power valve, but I have a suspicion that the power valve is actually going to be stuck in there. Usually, if they're not fired out, they should just slide right out. Oh, maybe it is. So the power valve should slide right out just like that, and that's a good sign that it's working. If it's stuck in there, that's you can tell because so that's a good way to know that your cable or your solenoid's not working and that it's fouled up in there, and it will just be rock hard stuck in there. It's really hard to get out, but mine seems to be good, so I'm really glad of that. So the next step will be taking out the solenoid here, and I'll be back with some tools to show you how to do that. In order to take the solenoid assembly out, what we need to do is we need to unplug this clip right here that leads off of it. That's important because obviously you can't pull it out without it. And you got here 1 Allen key bolt and another one on the other side there. With a number 3 Allen key, you should be able to just pop them out. Okay, now that I've got the bolts out and unplugged this plug here, it's kind of difficult now because you got to be careful. You got to pull this power valve out and be careful with the I forgot what it's called. But anyway, you got to pull that through around. You'll be able to see it when you're doing it, but you got to pull it around and you got to bring it out from where this is. So you got to pull it, pretty much pull it all out. It should all come out in one piece. And as you can tell, it will come around this tab here and out, so I'll be back when I've got that out. Okay, so power valve's out, solenoid's out. Now we can have an inspection of it. So the main thing you want to do when you take these out is make sure there's a lot of carbon build up on these, on the actual power valve itself. Mine looks alright because I cleaned it not long ago, but make sure that's alright, and make sure there's no fraying in the cord or any dents in it. So right there, you don't want any of that, but I can't afford a new wire at the moment and it seems to be working just fine. And another thing to look at is if this solenoid is seized up, it should move freely and very easily. If not, then you're going to have to clean that out. Okay, I'm going to show you in a second how to test this using a battery. I'll be back. Okay, to test your power valve, what you want is a battery, just the battery from your bike. And you just want some wire cutters and some wire strippers. So all I've done is just cut the wires down and just expose the wires on each side. One side a little bit more because what we're going to be doing is wrapping around each side of the battery. Blue for positive, red for negative. If you don't have, like, you know, a variety of colour of wires, it doesn't matter, as long as you just take notice of which side you're putting it in. Okay, now that I've got my wires on my battery, each one, be very careful that they don't touch each other's ends, otherwise you might cause a bit of a spark. And Now the plug-in end that we removed earlier on is going to be where we're going to power it, so obviously test it. This tab down at bottom, the one that's horizontal, is going to be where the positive goes, and the other one's going to be the negative. Okay, well the next part, now that we got this here, we want to put the wire just there, in here. Make sure it's not touching both ends of the clip. So I'm going to put it in there. You want to get your red piece, and you should hear a little clicking noise. I'll try and get a better view for you so that you can see it pulling on it. There's the end there. Tap, and it will shoot just like in and out, in and out. That means your solenoid is not seized up, and it should be fine. But I will say, however, that when you're testing this, that if you bend your wires around like that in a position it would be in the bike, sometimes it will not work, and that's due to your cable there being cluttered up or frayed. So if you test it like that, obviously I can't do it because I don't have two hands, and it should work. If not, you're gonna have to replace that or clean it out with some sort of degreaser or WD-40. Not all Aprillas have this type of power valve system. There's all different types. This one I believe is like the Rave something, I'm not sure. But this is the 98 model, so if you're gonna try to do this with your bike, I recommend you just look up and just make sure that it has the same type. Either way, I believe it would be similar to doing it. So anyway, once you've got the power valve out, you've done all the testing, it's all good, you're going to want to have to clean this, or it depends if it's carboned up. So the way to do that is by pulling this cable out. It's very easy, you just pull that up. Okay, as you can see, pull it up and it should just come loose. And obviously I'll take this off. Still can't remember what it's called, I don't know why. But anyway, it's clipped on the same way as like that as it is in the inside. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but I'll do that anyway, hopefully you can figure it out. Okay, so I've pulled the cable out now. This is detached, and that there is what you're going to be cleaning. And inside there, for this part here, spring should come out. It's got a little bit of pressure because it's stuck in with a washer. I'm not sure if I can get it out. But anyway, you're going to pull that out, just degrease the whole thing, degreaser, make sure all the insides are cleaned out, and we'll go on from there. Okay, so I've cleaned it out real quick. Didn't do too grave a job because I only cleaned it not long ago, so I know it's just fresh grease, but like grease oil and whatnot. But the thing is, that can be deceiving because it might just have fresh grease on it, but underneath is thick hard carbon, which can decrease the performance of the, how it moves. So this one here is fairly clean. It's got a little bit of wear in the chrome. That's because when it did have carbon on it, I used very, very fine grain sandpaper just to scrape it off. And I recommend that you do the same, or just any sort of scrubber. But that was, when I first got the bike, it was very, very carboned up. And as you can see, I accidentally broke the tab of trying to pull it out. It took me about an hour to pull it out. Very, very hard. So that's why it's vital to maintain these as much as you can. I do mine about every 500 kilometers on my bike. But I don't know, it just depends on how you ride it and how much you ride it. So you're just gonna have to get used to when you clean it. Just clean it once, and maybe after a few months, or a few hundred k's, clean it again and see how it goes. As for your solenoid, if this thing's seized up, the best thing I would recommend doing is just getting some sort of anti-rust and spray or anything. Just spray it down inside the actuator part and inside the cable here. For the cable, just spray it, just let it drip through and just wiggle it around, just try and get it to free up. That's all I can recommend. But yeah, then again, and again, just make sure you check all your cable, make sure it's not frayed at all, because if it is, it will get stuck and it will foul up really quick and it'll be really hard to take out. When returning the power valve into the engine, a good way to get it to slip in easy and just freely is go to your 2-stroke bottle, open it up, get a little bit of 2-stroke on top of a rag like this, and all you want to do is just put it on there, just wipe it on there, just so it's lubricated and it goes in nice and easy. So now we're just further reversing the steps, putting the solenoid back in, getting the power valve itself, putting it back in there, bolting it in, and after that we can get ready for the second test to make sure that the cable isn't frayed. Oh, and I almost forgot, this is very, very important. With the actual power valve itself, you're going to make sure the flat slide is at the top when it goes in. If you go the other way around, the cylinder head can actually hit into it and just gouge the shit out of it and just ruin it, basically. So just make sure it goes in flat ways, flat up top, curved down bottom. Okay, with the next stage of testing, you just want to have your battery up with the same wires from before, and you want your power valve completely in, the solenoid completely in. The only thing you don't want in is this plug, and you're going to have to, well, you're going to want it if you want, obviously. Put the wires in there, test it out just like we did before, and obviously you'll just be able to hear and see the part of the solenoid pull in and out. And if that's working all good, you know that your bike, and the cable is fine and it's not seized up or anything or frayed. And another very important thing is you got to make sure the loom or the cable is not scrunched up. Make sure it's as free and as round as possible to ensure the best sliding capability of it. So you just want to push it out. So I've tested the power valve using the battery. It works just fine. Took me a little bit of adjusting of the cable to get into just the right spot. So now, once you've done that, you want to put the battery box back in, just reverse your steps, get everything back together, and after that, we can start the bike up and test it that way. Okay, I now have everything back together. Got the clip back in, absolutely everything's done. And so now, we're going to start the bike up, and through there, that is the cable there, and we're going to be watching that carefully when we start it up. It will pull back after, I think it's 3,000 revs. After that it will pull in. So we'll be watching that. And if it pulls in at 3,000 and it drops back out, when it drops below 3,000, it should be working fine. So let's start her up. Okay, the all light's on, but it's all cool. There's plenty left just to start it up. Okay. So I've got the bike fully put back together, so that pretty much concludes my video. How to maintain a power valve for your 1998 Aprilia 125 or other models that have the same type of power valve. But right now I'll explain how the power valve just works, because a lot of people like to pin theirs open, and really that's not a good idea unless, or pin it closed, unless you're going to be racing the bike, because you're always going to have high revs. What it does is it keeps it open for low revs, so that you get more power down low, because most bikes is usually a sweet spot. Mine's probably, I don't know, I see it about 7 to 10,000 is when it gets most of its power. But what the power valve does is it gives it more power down low for street riders, people cruising around, car parks, whatnot. So it's just a bit more reliable. Hope the video is helpful. It was detailed enough. And yeah.